The alarm went off at 3 in the morning. Commander Jake Sullivan rolled out of bed without hesitation. He had done this 1,000 times before. His hands moved on their own, pulling on his uniform, tying his boots, checking his comm device. By the time his mind fully woke up, his body had already finished the routine. Jake walked through the metal corridors of Valkyrie Station. The space station orbited Earth, watching for threats. It had been his home for 3 years. Every corner was familiar. Every sound was expected. But tonight something felt different. When he reached the command center, his crew was already there. Screens glowed in the darkness. Numbers scrolled past. Warning lights blinked red. Lieutenant Amy Foster looked up from her station. Her face was pale. "We have contacts at the edge of the solar system." Jake moved to her screen. The radar showed dozens of shapes. No, hundreds of shapes. They were big. Much bigger than any human ship. Jake felt his training kick in. His heart rate stayed calm. His breathing stayed steady. This was just another drill. Except it was not a drill. For the first time in his career, the threat was real. "Get me Earth Command." His voice did not shake. Amy worked her controls. Within seconds, Admiral Lisa Harper appeared on the main screen. She was at her desk despite the early hour. Jake suspected she had not slept at all. "We see them too, Commander." The Admiral's voice was steady. "Every defense station in the system is on alert. We are trying to make contact." Jake watched the alien fleet move closer. The ships were strange. Their hulls looked organic, like they were grown instead of built. Energy readings showed power levels that made human reactors look like toys. Whoever these aliens were, they had technology far beyond Earth's. The wait was the hardest part. Minutes felt like hours. Jake's crew sat at their stations, ready but unable to act. They had trained for this moment. Every simulation, every drill, every exercise had prepared them. But no training could remove the fear completely. It could only teach you how to function despite it. Then the aliens sent their message. Every screen in the command center lit up at once. Every speaker crackled to life. The voice that came through spoke in perfect English. It also spoke in Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, and hundreds of other languages simultaneously. The aliens had studied humanity well. "We are the Krenthi Dominion. You are humanity. We have watched your species spread through this solar system. We have studied your history. We have judged your potential. You're a threat to galactic stability." Jake felt his jaw tighten. The alien voice continued without emotion. It sounded almost bored. "You have 2 choices. Submit to Krenthi authority. Accept our rule. Your species will be allowed to continue under our guidance, or refuse and face destruction. You have 48 hours to decide." The message ended. The screens went dark. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Amy broke the silence. "They cannot be serious. Who do they think they are?" Jake looked at the radar again. 300 alien warships sat at the edge of human space. They think they are conquerors. And maybe they are right. Down on Earth, the world leaders gathered in emergency sessions. The United Nations building in New York filled with representatives from every nation. Screens showed the alien fleet from every angle. Analysts presented data that all said the same thing. Humanity was outgunned. Admiral Harper stood before the assembly. She was the supreme commander of the United Earth Defense Force. Every eye in the room focused on her. She did not look afraid. She looked angry. "We will not surrender." Harper's voice rang through the chamber. "Humanity has faced extinction before. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived wars that nearly destroyed our planet. We did not come this far to bow to aliens who think they can threaten us." But some leaders were not convinced. A delegate from Europe stood up. "Admiral, their fleet is 10 times the size of our entire navy. Their weapons are more advanced. How can we possibly fight them?" Harper turned to face him. "We fight them the way we train. With discipline. With preparation. With every advantage we can create." In a side room, military commanders gathered around a holographic display. Major Danny Cruz ran simulation after simulation. Every scenario ended badly. If the human fleet engaged the Krenthi in open battle, they would lose. The math was simple and brutal. Amy Foster watched the simulations with growing frustration. She had joined the military straight out of college. Her specialty was asymmetric warfare, fighting enemies who were bigger and stronger, finding ways to win when conventional tactics failed. "What if we do not fight them conventionally?" Amy spoke up. The other officers turned to look at her. She was young, barely 30, but her record was impressive. Major Cruz frowned. "What do you mean?" Amy walked to the display. "Think about how we train. We run drills constantly. We practice until every response is automatic. We prepare for every possible scenario. What if we treat this invasion the same way? Not as a war, but as the ultimate training exercise." The room went quiet. Then Admiral Harper, who had been listening from the doorway, stepped inside. "Explain." Amy took a breath. "We have spent decades building redundant systems, multiple backup plans for every critical function. We train our people to operate under extreme stress. We run exercises that push equipment to failure points. All of that was designed for theoretical threats. Now we have a real threat. We use everything we have practiced." Harper nodded slowly. Protocol Omega. Major Cruz looked confused. "That is a training protocol. For preparing new recruits." "Exactly." Harper smiled grimly. "It was designed to simulate overwhelming odds. To teach people how to function when everything goes wrong. We have run it thousands of times. Every officer in the fleet knows it by heart. The Krenthi think they are starting a war. We will show them it is just another training day." The 48 hours passed quickly. Jake Sullivan and his crew on Valkyrie Station prepared their systems. Every weapon was checked. Every shield generator was tested. Every crew member reviewed their duties. It felt exactly like the pre-exercise briefings they had done 100 times before. When the deadline expired, the Krenthi fleet began moving forward. Their formation was perfect. Their spacing was precise. They had clearly done this many times before. Other species must have surrendered quickly when faced with such overwhelming force. But humanity did not surrender. Instead, every defense station activated. Earth's orbital platforms came online. The moon's hidden weapon batteries revealed themselves. Mars' defense fleet launched. Ships rose from Europa and Titan. Within minutes, the solar system transformed into a fortress. Jake watched his screens as the Krenthi opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space. Missiles streaked toward Earth. It was beautiful and terrible. And completely expected. The attack matched Scenario 7 from the training database. Jake had run Scenario 7 43 times. All stations execute Protocol Omega. Harper's voice came through clear and calm. "Treat this as exercise condition red. Follow your training. Trust your preparation." The human response was immediate and coordinated. Kinetic interceptors launched. Laser grids activated. Electronic countermeasures scrambled Krenthi targeting systems. Every defensive measure humanity had spent decades perfecting came into play at once. The Krenthi weapons hit Earth's defensive shell and stopped. Explosions lit up the night sky, but the planet remained safe. Jake coordinated his station's fire with machine precision. His fingers moved across controls without conscious thought. This was muscle memory. This was training made real. Amy monitored the overall battle from Earth Command. The tactical display showed the entire solar system. Red dots for Krenthi ships, blue dots for human forces. The red dots were bigger and more numerous, but the blue dots moved with perfect coordination. Each human ship knew exactly where to be and what to do. The first wave of Krenthi attacks failed completely. Not a single shot reached Earth's surface. The alien fleet paused, confused. This was not how conquest usually went. Species were supposed to panic. Their defenses were supposed to crumble. But humanity's response looked almost routine. Like they had done this before, and in a way they had. 10,000 training exercises. 1,000,000 simulated battles. Endless drills and practices and reviews. The Krenthi had started a war. But for humanity, it was just another day at the office. Another test to pass. Another exercise to complete. Jake allowed himself a small smile as the Krenthi fleet began to retreat. They would be back. The aliens had more ships and better technology, but humanity had something more valuable. They had preparation. They had discipline. They had trained for this their entire lives. The training was about to get real. High Commander Vrex stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Eternal Judgment was the pride of the Krenthi fleet. Its weapons could crack planets. Its shields could withstand entire armadas. In 200 years of service, it had never faced defeat. But now Vrex stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The humans had stopped his first attack completely. Not just slowed it down, stopped it, as if they had known exactly what was coming. Strategic Overseer Thane approached carefully. Vrex was not known for accepting bad news well. The tall alien's amber eyes glowed with barely controlled fury. Explain this failure. Vrex's voice was cold. Thane pulled up data streams. The humans have extensive defensive preparations. Their response time was impossibly fast. Every station acted in perfect coordination. It was as if they had practiced this exact scenario. Practiced? Vrex turned to face him. They are primitives. They have never faced a Krenthi fleet before. How could they practice? Thane hesitated. That is what I am trying to understand. Their military doctrine appears to emphasize constant training. They run combat simulations continuously. Thousands of exercises for every possible threat. Vrex made a dismissive gesture. Training is for recruits. Real warriors learn through battle. We will show these humans what true combat looks like. He ordered a new strategy. The fleet would split into multiple attack groups. They would strike from different angles simultaneously. The humans could not defend everywhere at once. Their coordination would break down under pressure. Back on Earth, Admiral Harper reviewed the same tactical data. Major Cruz had analyzed the Krenthi formation and identified their likely next move. Multiple simultaneous strikes. It was a classic overwhelming force tactic. Amy Foster pulled up training records. Scenario 12. Multi-vector assault. We have run this 217 times in the past year alone. Harper nodded. Alert all stations. Phase 2 of Protocol Omega. Defensive dispersal with aggressive counterstrike capability. On Valkyrie Station, Jake Sullivan briefed his crew. The Krenthi will attack from multiple directions. Our job is to hold the orbital grid while other forces execute countermaneuvers. Stay calm. Follow procedures. This is just like the drills. One of the younger officers raised his hand. Commander, is it really just like the drills? These aliens want to kill us. Jake looked at him steadily. The only difference between a drill and real combat is what happens if you fail. But the actions are the same. The training is the same. Trust your preparation and you will be fine. Captain Ben Martinez sat in the cramped bridge of the Shadow Runner. His stealth frigate was small compared to the massive Krenthi warships, but it had advantages they could not match: speed, agility, and most importantly, it was nearly invisible to sensors. Martinez had hand-picked his crew from the best pilots in the fleet. They had trained together for 5 years. Every member knew their job perfectly. They communicated with looks and gestures as much as words. They were a single organism with multiple parts. Admiral Harper's orders came through. Shadow Runner, you are authorized for deep reconnaissance. Penetrate the Krenthi formation. Gather intelligence on their command structure. Return with data. Martinez smiled. Finally, some real flying. He looked at his crew. You heard the Admiral. Time to show these aliens what human pilots can do. Standard infiltration pattern. Exercise Black Ghost. You all know the drill. The Shadow Runner slipped away from Earth's defensive perimeter. Its stealth systems engaged. To Krenthi sensors, it simply vanished. The small ship accelerated toward the alien fleet using cold thrusters that produced almost no heat signature. Meanwhile, the Krenthi launched their coordinated assault. 5 separate attack groups moved toward Earth from different angles. Each group contained enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Vrex watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The humans could not possibly defend against this. But humanity's response was immediate and precise. Defense platforms rotated to face new threats. Fighter squadrons launched from hidden bays. Missile batteries calculated firing solutions. Every action flowed smoothly into the next. Jake coordinated the defense of his sector with practiced ease. Valkyrie Station's weapons tracked multiple targets simultaneously. Point defense lasers intercepted incoming missiles. Railguns fired kinetic rounds at approaching ships. Everything worked exactly as designed, exactly as trained. On Luna Base, Sergeant Kelly Robinson prepared her Marine unit for possible boarding actions. The base's defensive guns hammered at Krenthi ships that came too close. But some alien assault craft were breaking through the fire. They were coming to take the base by force. Robinson checked her rifle. Her squad formed up behind her. These Marines had trained together for 3 years. They knew each other's movements. They could fight in the dark, in zero gravity, in any conditions imaginable. They had practiced boarding defense so many times it was boring. Now it was not boring. Now it was real. But the actions remained the same. Take defensive positions. Create kill zones. Support each other. Follow the training. The first Krenthi assault craft latched onto Luna Base's outer hull. Cutting torches began burning through the airlock. Robinson and her squad waited on the other side. Their weapons were ready. Their nerves were steady. This was exercise condition red. Room clearing drill. They had done it 1,000 times. The airlock exploded inward. Krenthi warriors poured through. They were big, heavily armored, and carried powerful weapons. But they moved in a standard assault formation. Robinson recognized it immediately from training simulations. Fire. Her voice was calm. The Marines opened up with disciplined bursts. The lead Krenthi fell. The aliens tried to advance, but the Marines' crossfire cut them down. Within 30 seconds, the assault was over. 12 enemy warriors lay dead. Not a single Marine was hit. Robinson keyed her radio. Command, we have repelled boarders, no casualties. Ready for next wave. While the battle raged, Captain Martinez guided the Shadow Runner through the Krenthi fleet. His ship slipped between massive warships like a ghost. Sensor drones deployed silently, attaching to enemy hulls. Electronic warfare packages recorded communication frequencies. The data flowed back to Earth Command. Amy Foster watched it arrive in real time. Ship layouts, weapon systems, communication protocols, and most importantly, the location and function of the Krenthi command network. Everything was routed through the flagship. She pulled up tactical analysis. If we disrupt their command ship, the entire fleet loses coordination. It is a single point of failure. Major Cruz frowned. That flagship is heavily defended. We would need a surgical strike. Multiple attack vectors. Perfect timing. Amy smiled. Scenario 24. Decapitation strike. We have practiced this one extensively. Admiral Harper reviewed the plan. It was risky but achievable. More importantly, every unit involved had trained for exactly this type of mission. She gave the authorization. Execute Phase 3. All units prepare for precision assault. Target is the enemy flagship. Wing Commander Claire Jacobs, your fighters will lead the attack. Commander Sullivan, Valkyrie Station provides covering fire. Captain Martinez, your reconnaissance data was excellent. Now guide them in. Claire Jacobs was already in her fighter. Around her, 200 other pilots prepared for launch. They were the best of the best. Everyone had logged over 5,000 flight hours. They knew their birds like extensions of their own bodies. The briefing was short. Hit the flagship. Disable their command arrays. Return home. Simple objectives. Difficult execution. But Claire and her pilots had practiced similar missions hundreds of times. This was what they trained for. The fighter wing launched. 200 small craft streaked toward the Krenthi fleet. They flew in perfect formation. Each pilot knew exactly where every other pilot was. They moved like a school of fish, flowing around obstacles, adjusting to threats without conscious thought. Krenthi Point Defense opened fire, space filled with energy beams and projectiles. But the human pilots weaved through the fire with practiced ease. They had trained in simulators that were even harder than this. Real combat almost felt easy by comparison. Jake coordinated the supporting fire from Valkyrie Station. His weapons targeted Krenthi ships that threatened the fighters. Every shot was calculated. Every target was prioritized. The station's crew worked with mechanical precision. No wasted motion, no hesitation, pure execution. The fighters reached the flagship. They split into attack groups. Each group hit a different target. Communication arrays exploded under concentrated fire. Sensor nodes were destroyed. Command antennas were severed. On the Eternal Judgment, chaos erupted. Vrex watched his displays go dark one by one. His connection to the fleet was severing. Ships stopped responding to orders. The perfect military machine was falling apart. Thane stared at the tactical display in amazement. The humans executed their attack with textbook precision. Every movement was coordinated. Every action served a purpose. This was not desperate fighting. This was professional military operation at the highest level. The Krenti fleet began to falter. Without central coordination, ships collided. Weapons fire struck friendly vessels. The overwhelming force that had conquered 17 star systems was reduced to confusion and panic. Admiral Harper watched from Earth Command. The plan had worked perfectly. Every unit performed exactly as trained. She keyed the general channel. All forces, excellent work. Maintain defensive positions. Continue training protocols. This exercise is not over yet. Exercise, the word echoed through the fleet. To the humans, this was still just training. Just another day of preparation. The Krenti had declared war, but humanity had simply shown up for another drill. High Commander Vrex refused to accept defeat. His pride would not allow it. The Krenti Dominion had never retreated, never surrendered. These humans with their endless training would learn what real power meant. He gave the order. Bring forward the Doom Herald. Deploy the Annihilator Cannon. Strategic Overseer Thane felt fear for the first time in his military career. The Annihilator Cannon was a weapon of last resort. It could crack a planet's crust, turn a living world into a dead rock. The Dominion had only used it twice before. Both times, entire civilizations had been erased. Commander, perhaps we should reconsider. The humans have proven more capable than expected. Using the Annihilator might provoke other galactic powers. Vrex turned on him with fury. We will not be humiliated by primitives. The Annihilator charges in 3 hours. Then Earth dies. The Doom Herald moved into position. It was the largest ship in the Krenti fleet, a Dreadnought-class vessel built specifically to carry the planet-killer weapon. The rest of the fleet formed a protective screen around it. Nothing would interfere with the firing sequence. On Earth, alarms sounded the moment sensors detected the weapon charging. Major Cruz ran calculations and his face went pale. The energy readings were off the scale. Whatever that thing was, it could destroy the planet. Admiral Harper convened an emergency meeting. Every senior officer appeared on screens around her command center. She looked tired, but her voice remained steady. We have 2 hours and 47 minutes until that weapon fires. Recommendations? Jake Sullivan spoke first. We need to destroy that ship before it can fire. But it is surrounded by over 100 warships. A direct assault would be suicide. Amy Foster pulled up training records. There is a scenario for this. Protocol Ragnarok, Scenario 7. Distributed assault against a priority target. We have run it 53 times, Cruz frowned. Scenario 7 requires every available ship. We would be committing everything. If it fails, there is no backup plan. Harper looked at each officer in turn. Then we make sure it does not fail. This is what we trained for. Every drill, every exercise, every simulation. This moment, I am authorizing Protocol Ragnarok. All forces will execute Scenario 7. We go all in. The orders went out across the solar system. Every ship, every station, every defense platform, all of them received the same instructions. Execute Scenario 7. No holding back. No reserves. Everything humanity had would be thrown at the Krenti fleet. Lieutenant Colonel Greg Patterson commanded the Mars Defense Fleet. 23 warships under his control. Not many compared to the Krenti numbers. But Patterson and his crews were ready. They had trained for this exact scenario. All ships prepare for maximum acceleration burn. We are going to use Jupiter's gravity for a slingshot approach. Time your burns precisely. We need every bit of speed we can get. The Mars fleet accelerated hard. The gravity of Jupiter pulled them faster. They came around the giant planet at speeds that would have torn apart ships with less sturdy construction. But human ships were built tough. They were designed to handle punishment. Jake coordinated his part of the assault from Valkyrie Station. His orders were to gather every mining ship, cargo hauler, and civilian craft in the area. Anything that could mount a weapon or carry explosives. The volunteers came without hesitation. A grizzled asteroid miner named Pete Hayes piloted his aging ship toward the rally point. His vessel was 50 years old, barely armed, but Hayes had been a Navy pilot before retiring. He knew how to fly, he knew how to fight, and he knew his duty. Jake briefed the civilian volunteers. Your mission is simple. Head straight for the Doom Herald. Draw fire, create confusion. Give our main forces openings to strike. This is dangerous. Some of you will not come back. Hayes smiled grimly. Commander, I have run more emergency drills than I can count. This is just one more. A big one, sure. But still just following the training, Captain Martinez and the Shadow Runner had the most dangerous job. His team would infiltrate close to the Doom Herald. Place explosive charges directly on the weapon itself. Stop it from firing even if nothing else worked. His crew prepared in silence. They checked equipment with practiced efficiency. Every person knew their role. They had rehearsed infiltration missions dozens of times. This was just another one. Except the stakes could not be higher. Wing Commander Claire Jacobs assembled her fighter squadrons. Every pilot in the solar system who could fly was joining this attack. Over 500 fighters. It was the largest strike force humanity had ever gathered. She addressed them over the comm channel. We have trained our whole lives for this moment. Every simulation, every exercise, every drill. This is what it was all for. Stay tight. Follow your training. We are going to save Earth. The assault began with 1 hour remaining until the Annihilator fired. Patterson's Mars fleet came screaming in at maximum velocity. Their weapons opened up at extreme range. Missiles streaked toward the Krenthi defensive line. The Krenthi responded with overwhelming firepower. Space lit up with energy beams, but the human ships scattered into evasive patterns. Each captain flew their vessel with expert skill. They jinked and dodged, using every trick they had learned in countless training sessions. Then the civilian volunteers arrived. Hundreds of mining ships and cargo haulers. They were not military vessels. They were not fast or heavily armed, but they were numerous and their pilots were determined. Hayes pushed his old ship to maximum thrust. Krenthi fire lanced past him. One shot clipped his port engine. Alarms blared. He ignored them. Just had to get close enough. Just had to draw their attention. The Krenthi fleet found itself overwhelmed by targets. Too many ships coming from too many directions. Their fire spread thin trying to engage everything. That was exactly what humanity wanted. Chaos, confusion, opportunity. Claire and her fighter wing hit the Krenthi formation like a hammer. 500 fighters moving in perfect coordination. They had practiced this attack pattern 100 times. The execution was flawless. Her pilots wove through enemy fire. Missiles and energy weapons struck Krenthi ships. Point defense systems were overwhelmed. Ships began exploding. The protective screen around the Doom Herald started to collapse. Jake coordinated the entire battle from Valkyrie Station. His screens showed the full tactical picture. Every ship, every weapon, every target. The data was overwhelming, but his training handled it. His mind processed information with mechanical efficiency. Adjust fire pattern to Sector 3. Patterson, bring your fleet around for another pass. Jacobs, concentrate on the left flank. Keep them off balance. While the battle raged, Captain Martinez guided the Shadow Runner through the chaos. His stealth systems kept them hidden. His crew moved with silent precision. They slipped past destroyed ships and active weapons fire, getting closer to the target with each passing second. 30 minutes until firing. The Doom Herald loomed ahead. Massive and terrible, the Annihilator cannon glowed with building energy. Martinez could feel the power radiating from it even through his ship's hull. Take us in. His pilot nodded. The Shadow Runner accelerated. They latched onto the Dreadnought's hull with magnetic clamps. Martinez and his tactical team suited up. Sergeant Kelly Robinson led the boarding team. She had trained for hostile environment operations for 5 years. Zero-gravity combat, hull breaching, close-quarters fighting. Every skill would be needed now. They cut through the outer armor with plasma torches. Alarms sounded inside the Doom Herald. Krenthi security forces rushed to respond, but Robinson and her Marines were already inside. The firefight was brutal. The corridors were tight, perfect for close combat. Robinson's team moved with practiced efficiency. They cleared rooms, secured intersections, advanced toward the weapon core, 15 minutes until firing. They reached the core chamber. The Annihilator sat in the center of a massive room. Energy crackled around it. The building power made the air itself feel dangerous. Martinez placed explosive charges at critical junction points. His hands were steady despite the time pressure. This was just another demolition drill. Just another exercise. Except this time failure meant Earth died. 5 minutes until firing. The charges were set. Martinez and his team retreated toward the Shadow Runner. Krenthi warriors tried to stop them. More fighting, more casualties. But the humans pushed through. They reached their ship. The magnetic clamps released. The Shadow Runner pulled away from the Doom Herald. Martinez checked his timer. 2 minutes until firing. 1 minute until detonation. On the Eternal Judgment, Vrex watched the countdown. 50 seconds. The Annihilator would fire. The humans would die. The Dominion's honor would be restored. 40 seconds. Martinez pressed the detonator. The charges exploded simultaneously. The Annihilator's power core went critical. Energy feedback cascaded through the weapon systems. The Doom Herald began tearing itself apart from internal explosions. Vrex watched in horror as his ultimate weapon destroyed itself. The Dreadnought exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The shockwave damaged nearby Krenthi ships. The perfect plan had failed completely. Admiral Harper watched from Earth Command. The explosion lit up the tactical display. Amy Foster turned to her with a tired smile. Threat neutralized. All forces performed within expected parameters. Scenario 7 complete. Harper nodded slowly. Good work, everyone. Begin recovery operations. Gather our wounded. Repair damaged ships. Standard post-exercise procedures. The Krenthi fleet began withdrawing. Too damaged, too disorganized, too shocked by their defeat. Thane gave the order to retreat. It was the first time in Dominion history that they had withdrawn without victory. As the alien ships accelerated away from Earth, Jake allowed himself to relax slightly. Around him, his crew maintained their stations. Alert, professional, ready for the next challenge. Because for humanity, the training never stopped. This had been the biggest exercise yet. But there would be others. There always were. And they would be ready. Strategic Overseer Thane sat in silence as the Krenthi fleet limped back to Dominion space. Around him, the bridge crew worked quietly. Nobody wanted to speak. The defeat was too complete, too humiliating. High Commander Vrex was dead, killed when the Doom Herald exploded. Most of the War Council had died with him. Thane now commanded what remained of the invasion force, less than 30% of the ships that had arrived at Earth. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to travel. He reviewed the battle recordings for the 10th time, trying to understand. The humans had not fought with desperation. They had fought with precision. Every action was calculated. Every response was practiced. It was like watching a training exercise. Except the humans had won. A junior officer approached carefully. Overseer, we are receiving messages from across the galaxy. News of our defeat has spread. The Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. Thane nodded slowly. Let them talk. We have learned something valuable. The humans train constantly. They prepare for everything. They do not separate training from combat. That makes them more dangerous than any species we have ever encountered. On a distant space station, the Galactic Council convened. Representatives from dozens of civilizations gathered in the Great Chamber. The news from Earth dominated every conversation. Ambassador Xyloth of the Viridian Collective called the session to order. The tall alien's luminescent skin glowed with concern. Fellow members, we face a new situation. The Krenthi Dominion has been defeated by a species we knew nothing about. What does this mean for galactic stability? A representative from the Quox Assembly spoke up. It means humanity is a threat. They destroyed a Krenthi fleet. Who will they attack next? We should contain them before they become more dangerous. But Xyloth disagreed. The humans acted in self-defense. The Krenthi invaded their system. Humanity responded to aggression. That is not the behavior of conquerors. The debate continued for hours. Some species feared humanity. Others were curious. A few saw opportunity. Captain Nexus of the Syndicate of Free Traders watched the proceedings with interest. He was a businessman. He saw potential profits. When the formal session ended, Nexus approached Xyloth privately. Ambassador, I propose we make contact with Earth, not as conquerors or judges, as traders and potential allies. Xyloth considered the suggestion. The Viridian Collective valued peace above all else. Contact might prevent future conflicts. Very well. I will lead a diplomatic mission to Earth, but we must approach carefully. These humans have proven they can defend themselves. Back on Earth, Admiral Harper dealt with the aftermath of battle. Casualty reports, damage assessments, ship repairs. The work never ended, but she made time to review intelligence on galactic civilization. Amy Foster compiled the data. We are receiving diplomatic overtures from multiple alien species. The Viridian Collective wants to establish formal contact. The free traders want to discuss commerce. Even some former Krenthi colonies are reaching out. Harper studied the reports. Our victory has attracted attention. Some will see us as potential allies, others as threats. We need to be careful how we respond. Major Cruz entered the office. Admiral, we have completed analysis of captured Krenthi technology. The findings are interesting. He displayed technical diagrams. Their weapons are more advanced than ours in some ways, but they have critical weaknesses. Single points of failure, no redundancy. They rely too much on technology and not enough on training. Amy nodded. That matches what we observed in battle. Their tactics were rigid. They followed standard procedures. When those procedures failed, they could not adapt quickly. Harper made her decision. We will meet with the Viridians, establish diplomatic relations. But on our terms, we are not begging for acceptance. We earned our place through preparation and skill. 6 months passed. Unity Station was constructed in Earth orbit, a diplomatic facility designed to host alien visitors. Jake Sullivan oversaw the construction. The station was beautiful but heavily defended. Humanity remained cautious. Ambassador Xyloth arrived aboard the Harmony Song. The Viridian diplomat approached Earth with both hope and nervousness. The humans had defeated the Krenthi. That made them unpredictable. Admiral Harper greeted the ambassador personally. The meeting room was comfortable but clearly monitored. Guards stood at discreet positions. Xyloth noticed everything. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. Harper's voice was formal but not unfriendly. We appreciate the Viridian Collective reaching out. What brings you here? Xyloth's skin shifted to a calming blue color. We seek understanding. Your victory over the Krenthi surprised the galaxy. Many species want to know more about humanity. Some fear you, some admire you. We want to learn the truth. Harper considered her words carefully. The truth is simple. We prepare constantly. We train for every threat. When the Krenthi attacked, we responded with everything we had practiced. That is all. But Xyloth was confused. Your forces fought with remarkable coordination. Such precision usually requires years of combat experience. Yet this was your first real battle. Amy Foster spoke up. We have been training for generations. Every scenario, every possibility. When combat finally came, it was not new. It was just another exercise we had practiced. To demonstrate, Harper took Xyloth to observe training operations on Luna Base. Sergeant Robinson's Marines ran combat drills. The intensity shocked the ambassador. These were not gentle exercises. They were brutal and demanding. Robinson pushed her troops hard. They ran obstacle courses in full combat gear. They practiced room clearing with live ammunition. They operated in conditions that would kill most beings, and they did it every single day. Xyloth watched in amazement. This is standard training, not preparation for immediate combat? Robinson nodded. This is Tuesday. Every day is like this. We train as if we are fighting. When we fight, it feels like training. No difference. The ambassador began to understand. Most galactic civilizations had grown soft. Their militaries existed but rarely trained seriously. Technology had made them lazy. Humanity had taken the opposite path. They prepared constantly. Over the following months, more alien species made contact. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. Earth slowly integrated into galactic civilization. But always on human terms. Captain Martinez and the Shadow Runner were assigned deep space exploration. His mission was to map nearby star systems, identify threats and opportunities. His crew approached it like an extended training mission. Always alert, always ready. Wing Commander Claire Jacobs established advanced flight training programs. Alien observers were allowed to watch. They were stunned by the intensity. Human pilots trained in conditions that would terrify most species. And they did it willingly. Then came an unusual request. The Viridian Collective asked if humanity would consider establishing a military academy to teach other species human training methods. The proposal created heated debate. Major Cruz argued against it. Why should we train potential enemies? Give them our advantages. But Amy saw it differently. If we train them, they become allies. They learn to value preparation. The whole galaxy becomes safer. Besides, our real advantage is not the training methods. It is our commitment to training. That cannot be copied easily. Harper made the final decision. We will do it. Establish the Terran Combat Academy on Mars. Any species can send officers, but they follow our rules, our intensity, our standards. If they cannot handle it, they fail. Sergeant Robinson was promoted to colonel and put in charge. She approached the assignment with typical intensity. These aliens would learn what real training meant, or they would wash out. The first class arrived 6 months later. 7 different species, 20 cadets total. They came expecting theoretical instruction. They got something completely different. Robinson stood before the assembled cadets. Welcome to the Terran Combat Academy. You are here to learn how humans train. That means you will work harder than you ever have. You will be pushed to your limits. Some of you will quit. That is acceptable. But if you stay, you will leave as better warriors. The first week was brutal. Physical training, weapons drills, tactical exercises. The alien cadets struggled. Their bodies were different. Their minds worked differently. But the core principles remained the same: repetition, discipline, constant improvement. Lieutenant Kevin Price served as an instructor. He had to adapt teaching methods for beings with wildly different physiologies, but he found ways. A Viridian might not have human strength, but they could learn proper technique. A Kyax might move differently, but they could master coordination. Jake visited as a guest lecturer. He explained the philosophy simply. You do not rise to challenges. You fall to your level of training. Train at the highest level possible. When crisis comes, you perform automatically. The alien cadets slowly began to understand. Training was not preparation for combat. Training was combat. The two were inseparable. Every drill mattered. Every exercise built skills that might save lives. By the end of the first year, the academy had graduated its first class. The aliens who completed the program were changed. They moved differently, thought differently. They had learned the human way. Ambassador Xyloth attended the graduation ceremony. The Viridian diplomat watched with satisfaction. This was what the galaxy needed. Not conquest, not domination, but shared knowledge, mutual improvement. Admiral Harper addressed the graduates. You came here from different worlds, different species, different militaries, but you learned a universal truth. Preparation is everything. Training is forever. Excellence requires constant work. As the ceremony ended, Amy Foster reflected on how quickly things had changed. 2 years ago, Earth had faced extinction. Now they were training the galaxy's military forces, all because humanity never stopped preparing for the next challenge, and that preparation would never stop. More classes would come. More species would learn. The training continued. 2 years after the Krenthi defeat, Strategic Overseer Thane returned to Earth space, but this time he came in peace. His small diplomatic vessel approached Unity Station carefully. He half expected the humans to open fire. Instead, they granted him docking permission. Admiral Harper met him in the same conference room where she had hosted Ambassador Xyloth. But the atmosphere was different, tense, guarded. Thane could not blame them. The last time Krenthi and humans met, they had tried to destroy Earth. Overseer, what brings you here? Harper's voice was neutral, professional. But Thane could see the weapons ports hidden in the station's walls, the guards positioned at every exit. The humans trusted nothing. Thane's amber eyes dimmed with what humans would recognize as humility. I come to offer an apology and a request. The Krenthi Dominion has spent 2 years studying what happened here. We learned that our defeat was not due to your technology. It was due to your training philosophy. He activated a holographic display. These are our new training programs, modeled after what we observed of human methods: constant drills, redundant systems, preparation for every scenario. We have begun to change our entire military culture. Amy Foster studied the data. It looks comprehensive. But why are you showing us this? Because we need help. Thane's voice was quiet. The Dominion is proud. We have conquered many worlds, but we never learned properly. We relied on superior technology and numbers. Your humans showed us that preparation matters more than power. We wish to send officers to your academy. The request created immediate debate. Major crews argued strongly against it. They tried to kill us. Now they want us to train them? It is madness, but Amy saw opportunity. If the Krenthi truly change their military culture, they stop being threats. They become allies. Their strength combined with proper training could stabilize entire regions of space. Harper considered both arguments. Finally, she made her decision. We will accept Krenthi cadets. But they receive no special treatment. They train with everyone else. Same standards, same intensity. If they cannot handle it, they fail. Thane agreed without hesitation. That is all we ask. The opportunity to learn. On Mars, Colonel Robinson prepared for the new arrivals. The academy had grown significantly. 500 cadets from dozens of species. The facility expanded constantly to accommodate different environmental needs. But the core mission remained the same. Teach them to train like humans. When the first Krenthi cadets arrived, tension filled the air. Many human instructors had fought against the Dominion. The memories were fresh. The anger was real. But Robinson made her position clear. The past is the past. These cadets are here to learn. We will teach them. Anyone who cannot put aside personal feelings can transfer out. But if you stay, you give them the same training as everyone else. The Krenthi cadets were surprised by the intensity. They had thought their own military training was demanding. Human standards were on another level entirely. Lieutenant Kevin Price pushed them hard. Physical conditioning, tactical exercises, endless drills. A young Krenthi warrior named Crick struggled initially. His species was stronger than humans, but strength did not matter when exhaustion set in, when muscles burned, when the mind wanted to quit. Price showed no mercy. Again, your form is wrong. Do it correctly or do it again. Price's voice was firm but not cruel. This is not punishment. This is learning. Every repetition builds muscle memory. Every drill makes you better. Slowly, Crix began to understand. The humans were not trying to break him. They were trying to build him. Every exercise had a purpose. Every drill taught a skill. The training was not separate from combat. It was combat, just without real death. Jake Sullivan visited the academy regularly as a guest instructor. He taught tactical coordination, how to make every unit work as part of a larger whole. His lessons were simple but profound. Individual skill matters. But coordination matters more. 100 warriors fighting separately will lose to 50 warriors fighting together. You must trust your training. Trust your team. Trust the preparation. 5 years after first contact with the Krenthi, Earth had become central to galactic military affairs. The Terran Combat Academy graduated thousands of officers. Human training methods spread across multiple star systems. Military doctrine throughout the galaxy was changing. Captain Martinez, now promoted to Admiral, commanded the Joint Task Force Unity. His fleet included ships from a dozen different species, all trained in human methods, all operating with human precision. They patrolled frontier regions where piracy was common. When threats appeared, the task force responded with overwhelming coordination. Criminals who had once terrorized trade routes found themselves outmatched, not by superior technology, but by superior preparation. Wing Commander Claire Jacobs ran advanced flight training for multi-species squadrons. Pilots from different worlds learned to fly together, to communicate without words, to trust each other completely. It was what human pilots had done for generations. One day, a crisis developed in a distant sector. A rogue warlord with stolen warships threatened several colonies. The Galactic Council requested assistance. Admiral Harper authorized a response. The force that deployed was mixed. Human ships, Viridian vessels, even Krenthi warships, all trained together, all operating under the same doctrine. They executed a textbook assault. The warlord's forces were defeated in 6 hours with minimal casualties. Ambassador Xyloth watched the operation from Unity Station. The Viridian diplomat's skin glowed with satisfaction. You have changed the galaxy, Admiral, not through conquest, through teaching. The human way has become the galactic way. Harper smiled slightly. We did not change anything fundamental. We just reminded people of basic truths. Preparation matters. Training matters. Excellence requires constant work. Down on Mars, the latest class graduated from the academy. Colonel Robinson watched them with pride. Humans, Viridians, Krenthi, Cox, and species whose names she still struggled to pronounce. But they all understood now. They all knew the secret. Crix approached her after the ceremony. He had completed the full program. top of his class. His amber eyes glowed with respect. "Colonel, I have a question. When does the training end? When do we stop preparing and start living?" Robinson smiled. The same smile that every human instructor wore when asked that question. That is the secret. The training never ends. Every day is preparation. Every moment is practice. When the Krenthi declared war on humanity, they thought they were starting a conflict. We knew we were just continuing the training that never stops. Crix nodded slowly. Understanding dawning. That is why you won. Not better weapons, not more ships. You were always ready because you never stopped preparing. Exactly. Now you understand. Go back to your people. Teach them what you learned. Make the Dominion better. Make the galaxy better. On Unity Station, Harper looked out at the ships from different civilizations conducting joint exercises. Their formations were precise. Their maneuvers were coordinated. They moved like pieces of a single machine. Amy Foster joined her at the viewport. Do you ever think about how this all started? The Krenthi invasion. How terrified everyone was, Harper nodded. We were scared. But fear did not matter. Training took over. Everything we had practiced came together when it mattered most. She pulled up a threat assessment report. Always another challenge. Always another potential crisis. A pirate confederation was growing in strength. Some minor species were showing aggressive tendencies. The work never ended, but that was fine. Humanity was built for constant vigilance, for endless preparation. Other species might see it as exhausting. Humans saw it as normal. Just another day. Just another training exercise. Jake Sullivan had retired from active duty but stayed at the academy as a senior instructor. He taught the advanced tactical course. His students came from across the galaxy. They hung on his every word because his lessons were proven in actual combat. The most important thing I can teach you is this. Sullivan addressed his class. There is no difference between training and fighting. They are the same thing. When you train, fight. When you fight, remember your training. The two cannot be separated. A Viridian cadet raised a hand. But instructor, surely there is more pressure in real combat. More fear. Sullivan nodded. Yes, but if your training is hard enough, combat feels easier. We train under the worst conditions we can create. We push ourselves to absolute limits. When real threats come, they seem manageable, because we have already faced worse in training. That philosophy had spread throughout the galaxy. Military academies everywhere adopted human methods. Constant drills, endless exercises, preparation for every scenario. The galaxy was becoming safer because everyone was becoming more prepared. Captain Ben Martinez returned from a long patrol mission. His mixed-species crew had performed flawlessly. They handled pirates, natural disasters, and diplomatic incidents. Each challenge was met with the same calm professionalism. He filed his report with Harper. Every situation we encountered matched training scenarios. The crew knew exactly what to do. No panic, no confusion. Just execution, that is what we do. Harper replied simply. We prepare, we train, we execute. The Krenthi wanted war. We gave them a training exercise and won. Now we are teaching the galaxy the same lesson. Years passed. Earth remained at the center of galactic military development. The Academy continued producing graduates. The joint task forces maintained peace across vast regions of space. And humanity continued training. Because for humans, the training truly never stopped. Every day brought new challenges, new scenarios, new opportunities to improve. Other species might have relaxed after achieving prominence. Humans pushed harder. It was what made them different, what made them special. They did not wait for threats to appear. They prepared for threats that might never come. And when those threats did appear, they were ready. On Mars, a new class of cadets began their first day. They came from species humanity had never met before. New faces, new challenges. But the lesson remained the same. Colonel Robinson stood before them. Welcome to the Terran Combat Academy. You are here because your people recognized something important. That preparation is everything. That training never ends. That excellence requires constant work. We will teach you the human way. If you embrace it, you will leave here changed. The cadets listened carefully. Some looked nervous. Others looked determined. But they all understood they had been given a rare opportunity. To learn from the species that turned an alien invasion into a training exercise. Admiral Harper reviewed reports in her office. More requests for academy slots. More species wanting to learn human methods. More opportunities to spread the philosophy of constant preparation. She looked up at the stars through her window. Out there, the galaxy was changing, becoming more prepared, more professional, more capable. All because humanity had shown them a simple truth. The aliens had declared war. Humans had called it training. And in doing so, they had not just won a battle. They had changed an entire galaxy's approach to readiness. The training continued, and it always would.